Hello everyone, welcome back to the Comprehensive Guide to Solo. Shout out really quick to David0914. They traded Solo to me. I was carry originally for some reason, even though it's not one of my two roles. But anyways, pardon me for the mild congestion. This is left over from my cold. But today we are going to be talking about auto attack warriors. Alright, now there are a couple of things. We're going to be using Erlang Shen for this because he's the best example of this, but he is by no means the only example. Other really good auto-attacking warriors are... Well, no one's pure auto-attacker, really, except well, no, most of the rest of them are hybrid, which we'll talk about in the next episode. But we are going to be... I'm not also going to exclude the... Well, we'll talk about hybrids a little bit. We'll splash into that conversation a little bit here. But ultimately what we're talking about here is a very different style of gameplay. And this also, interestingly enough, generates a different approach to the role slightly. You might be confused a little bit. Let me clarify. In the previous episode, I played Sun Wukong. He's very ability-based. And as a result, when he enters a team fight, he's got his long-range staff, which can hit multiple targets. He's got his circular sweep. He's got the bull that he can transform into that can hit multiple people. And his ult, when he falls down from the cloud, can also hit multiple people. Okay? All of these abilities that Sun Wukong has... I'm going to talk about their team comp in a hot second. But all these abilities that Sun Wukong has have the capacity to hit multiple enemies. This makes him very interesting in a team fight where even if he doesn't hit hard, if he hits multiple people, he can still do equivalent amounts of damage. Auto-attacking warriors like Erlang Shen, or to better clarify, very specifically, any warrior you choose to play as a auto-attacker, which is a totally different conversation that we'll get more into in the next episode. These all offer you... I'm trying to decide what starter item I want. I'm gonna go for this, and then we're gonna go straight into this. Now, it is going to be a very interesting thing here, where auto attackers, let me clarify this right away, because this is something that when other Smite YouTubers do talk about auto attackers versus ability based, they tend to glaze over it and just give you the foundations. But basically, any character that focuses on auto attacks for their damage output, like Erlang Shen, are generally going to be better at what is known, I gotta change my mouse here, what is known as boxing. Boxing very specifically being a one-on-one fight between two characters. No interruptions, nobody else getting into that fight at all. That is what boxing is. Erlang Shen is good at this, as is pretty much any auto attacker. They're not as good in team fight situations where there's a lot of enemies to potentially take out. We're actually going to get really aggressive with this. We're going to use our health potion really early because I have an AoE auto attack section of my chain here, which allows me to out clear him even in a boxing situation, which is a unique facet of Erlang Shen here. I am just trying to wear him down at this point. Now, if I can just... Okay, I didn't quite get there in time. Okay, good. I did get there in time. And that's what I was trying to do there. I will be able to, from here on out, actually pretty aggressively dominate Kukulane. And I don't even really need to do anything else. I'm just going to go ahead and zip on over here, use that auto attack speed boost to get this really quick, and then go in for the wave. Now you're going to notice immediately that first off, I am doing way better in the early game than what Sun Wukong was capable of bringing to bear. And this is a classic experience for auto-attacking in solo lane with a warrior. Alright, your early game is going to be better. Your late game is going to be a little bit more difficult, though, because you're not going to be as generally useful in a team fight, and that's just how that works. Come here. Notice I'm able to fight, or I'm looking to fight, my boy here. That's not worth it anymore. I'm going to be losing farm at that point. But notice I was able to chase him for a decent amount of time there and not really be too concerned about Quick Lane coming in at me. Not be too concerned about any of that, you know, coming down on me. Okay, now that he's here, we're going to, again, get very aggressive with this because I have the healing, the mana, and the HP increase from Death's Toll here. I'm going to get some extra damage here. There we go. I'm going to use my other health potion here. That's fine. He can do that. That's all right. He has now made an interesting, nearly fatal mistake. He did recover, which was really impressive, but he almost died for that for absolutely no reason. Now, like I said, like I was saying, my late game is going to be really interesting because I'm just not going to have the kind of team-wide damage that Sun Wukong would be able to equivalently bring to bear in a similar scenario. And that's going to be something I'm going to address later on, but I'm going to be able to easily dominate this lane as an auto-attacker, and Quick Lane is playing this, while he's playing this very risky, he is actually doing a really good job of maintaining with me as best he can. He's actually doing a fairly decent job at this, overall. So, shout out to the Quick Lane for really knowing what he's doing here, and adapting quite nicely to this overall. So I chose Death's Toll. When you're going to auto-attack as a warrior in the solo lane, you're pretty much almost always going to go for this. I've seen a lot of people make the mistake of going for, what is it called? The scepter there. Mannequin Scepter, that's the one. What are you doing over here? Oh, he was a second too late on that. Where did Ratatoskir go? That's what I'm worried about right now. There he is. Ah, that's fine. Use this for the shield here. He needed to hit that. Where's Ravon? There he is. Now notice that I am able to fight off Ratatoskir here quite effectively. There we go. I actually can probably fight this. Is this too ambitious? No, barely. I almost died for that, for absolutely no reason. See if I can get some poke here. Oh, he saw it coming. Good play, good play. I'm just going to back off. I don't need to actually retreat yet, but I am going to use this just for the healing. I was hoping he'd aggressively pursue that. He did not. He did not fall for that at all. I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping he would, but I honestly am not that surprised he didn't fall for that. Excuse me? Ah, good play. Good play. Nah, he took advantage of that. That was a good opportunity that I left him there. That was really good. Not really that big of a deal overall, in all honesty. My next move is going to be Stonecutting Sword because of their team composition, which is, by the way, horrific. I don't know why they decided 4 physical was the way to go, but it's going to really open the door for me to do a lot of things that I really shouldn't be able to do. We're going to talk about that later on at the end of the match. But, yes, so right now, that is really what the goal here is just to farm up and try to box out Quick Lane as much as possible, because I'm going to be able to. He's not really going to be able to do a whole lot to stop me, unless I, again, just overstay my welcome. Then we would obviously have a problem here. We need to actually increase this volume slightly. We'll leave it at 24, I think, is a good volume to go at. So, now that we've addressed that I'm going to have some mild issues dealing the amount of damage I need to in the late game, what are my options for dealing with that? Well, typically speaking, my options are going to be take out the enemy damage, or specialize in such a way that I can take out the enemy tanks very quickly, which is usually what a lot of people are going to do, because that's also going to give them the ability, That's going to give them the ability to, take out the enemy solo laner as well. This is typically where just people tend to go. That was a nice counter move. But I'm going to heal up and you are not. Yeah, there you go. Ah, good play. I missed that last auto attack. If I hadn't missed that last auto attack... Can we pause this today, please? No! Oh, if I had just been able to activate my turtle in time. I misplayed that. That was entirely 100% me goofing that. I could have easily at least killed Kukulane there. But unfortunately, I missed my... I didn't hit the button in time. Just... There's Cupid. So, my plan is going to generally... Gonna have to devolve into one of two things. Where is he going with this? He's going power. Alright. So I'm not going to want to focus too much on such things as dealing, you know, getting penetration or anything. I am going to go with something a little bit more utilitarian here. This is partially going to be possible because of their team composition. I might be a little behind Kukulane, but I'm not too concerned. In all honesty. Oop, there we go. Because I know he only won that fight because I goofed it, and also because Ratatoskr was there. He still can't beat me in a straight fight, and he knows that just as well as I do. I'm actually going to kill you really quick so I can catch up in terms of golden experience. A little bit here. That was not well timed on my part. I did not expect to hit that hard with my auto attacks yet, but here we are. So, I'm going to be focusing a large amount of my... Yeah. I'm actually going to go defensive on this one because you have all of the minions here at this point. Yeah, you can have that for now. You're not going to go for that for now, huh? Alright. You needed to hit that. You know you needed to hit that. It was a good try, good try. No, I'm not going to fight that. I don't need to. There's nothing there to fight for. I'm going to either force him to follow me over here, which he absolutely fell for some reason. Why? He shouldn't have done that. He didn't need to do that. He just lost some health there for no reason. And I'm going to get back the health that I lost here. Good. Oh, Rat's over here, huh? Alright, I'm going to back up then. At this particular point in time, even though I'm in fairly decent health, I have 25 seconds left of my ult, and I'd rather not confront Ratatoskr at this point without my ult. I'm going to throw my spear out here, but I'm going to go ahead and conservatively do this here. Okay, he's just teleporting back with what is new in his... Okay, he's got the auto attack decrease here. It's not going to be enough, honestly. Do you have Ratatoskr? I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, he still can't beat me yet. Even with the auto attack decreasing physical protections. No, we don't need to surrender. We're not that far behind. We really are not doing that badly. Alright. At the very least, if we take him out, he just uses teleport. And now I'm gonna die. Yep, because I don't have my magic protections yet. Oh, no, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. I'm gonna fall behind for a little bit here because Ratatoskr is doing a really good job. Now, I want you to keep in mind, if you are a solo laner and you are not an auto-attacking solo laner and you're against an auto-attacking solo laner, your jungler is going to have to be the one to help you. In that particular instance, it was Merlin. That's a little surprising. I'm not sure why he was over there. That is very unexpected to me. I was not expecting that. That's kind of odd to me, but good play, nevertheless. I really shouldn't have gone in there considering I did not have any magic protections built at that point in time. But, again, I'm not too far down from him. You are not seriously trying to fight me right now. You just wasted your ult on top of that. What are you doing? Are you okay? Are you panicking because you're ahead or what? Like, what is this? I'm not really sure what that was about. We're not going to go for the mana buff yet because the wave is about to come back up. And right now I need to keep... Okay, that was a waste. Take out these guys really quick over here. That's not the transformation I wanted, but alright. And there you go. And then I'm fully healed and you're almost dead. And then you're going to re-engage with me for some unholy reason. What are you doing? You're trying to poke me, but I honestly, as long as I have Death's Toll, you can't really do that. It really doesn't work in your favor. That's fine. Now, at this point, I'm going to go back for my mana buff. Oh, they've stolen it. That's fine, actually, because my mana isn't that low. I do have the advantage of not only having Death's Toll, but I also have the advantage of being an auto-attacker and not needing mana as much as an ability-based warrior would. The only reason, actually, Cuculina is able to keep up with me at all is the fact that he is a warrior that uses abilities without mana. He doesn't have mana, therefore, he actually doesn't need to worry about that at all, so that's the only reason he's able to keep up with me, in all honesty. I just wanted to interrupt his back. Yeah, you're doing better than me on a scoreboard level, but you still can't beat me despite being a level higher. He's really going to be banking on the late game recovery for him, in all honesty. That's what he's going to be looking for here. Now we're just going to clear this so that way I can catch up in terms of gold and experience. Now he's clearing my wave, so I have time to deal with this. There we go. And he's doing his, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and aggressively clear the wave here. You missed that. Alright. That's all I needed to see. I win this duel. We've just started it. Do you have meditation? That's what you took as your second relic? That was a mistake. Meditation is not as useful in this... Okay. What level is your meditation? Did you... Oh, you just have regular meditation. Alright. There we go. I probably still could have won the fight in the long run, but that does prevent me from worrying about Ratatoskr coming in and finishing me off after the fact. So that is very nice. Nice safety net there. This actually is... Oh, my goodness. Why the hell is Merlin over here? What is this? I got out, but, like, what? Why is Merlin over here all the time? Look, Alright, they're actually making a mistake here. If a solo laner is doing poorly, and this is actually something a commenter brought up literally earlier today, if a solo laner is falling behind, the thing to do is not try to help. Okay, I just got absolutely bamboozled there. Good play. Alright, we're just going to leave this be. I have my ult, so I'm not going to fall back quite yet. I'm just going to be desperately trying to survive here at this point. Fortunately, I still have my teleport up. Alright. We're actually not going to use that quite yet. I want to grab Blink. And I want to be grabbing at this particular point Void Shield. Alright, that's good enough. Did you just not expect me to go for your wave first? Even though I win a 1v1 with you every day of the week? What are you thinking? Is this basically a case where you've killed me a couple of times, so therefore you think you can fight me the rest of the time, even though that is absolutely 100% not the case? What is this? What are you doing? Are you sure you're okay? I probably should have bought wards, to be honest. I'm kind of exposed here. Go ahead and poke you out here, while I go over here for some extra farm. There we go. Good. Okay, so that takes care of Ratatosk's gear. I have no idea where Merlin is, which is mildly concerning, since he's shown a weird proclivity. Oh, there's Merlin. Okay, so that means, now that I know, this is actually something that I didn't really talk about the last match, because I was, or last episode, because I was more concerned with the actual mechanics of solo, but now that I know that literally all the enemies are over in right area, I can actually box you pretty aggressively at this point. You needed to hit that. You're still trying. Turtle wasn't what I really wanted there, but the health shield is good enough. Okay, you did actually hit me with the anti-heal, which you did need to do. There's your med. That's fine. I actually outdamage your med. Pretty grossly, actually. Wow. Alright. Anyways, in other news, Hades died. Can we stop you? No. I was way too late on that. There's Merlin still. That's fine. We're gonna probably be grouping up pretty soon. He went back without his teleport ready? Interesting. Alright, that gives me a lot of leeway. I can now basically go and rotate whenever I freely want to without any kind of risk. I could have earlier, as I mentioned last episode, I could have started doing so at level 12. The problem is that actually, in all honesty, the Cook lane was keeping up with me well enough where I wasn't really going to have that option. Now, at this particular point, I am moving over here to the right lane in a rather ambitious move because I have my teleport up. So I actually have the ability to teleport back to my lane when I need to. I can't because he took it, but that also does not make a huge difference. There's you. Hi. I know you're gonna just... So, Sun Wukong is their support, I'm assuming. Cupid backed off so quick. What is this? Cupid backed off way too fast on that. I'm gonna be really honest. He backed off way too quick on that. I'm gonna actually get out of here. Grab this. Grab this in a surprise twist. And then what I want is... probably this for some defense. I'm gonna need to keep up with... Nah, because he's really high on the damage as well. It's gonna come down to what I think I need more. Get him. Get him. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, fantastic. I know what I really need. Alright, that is absolutely stunning. Come back here. Alright, Merlin is a little oh, hey, we have Ravon over here. He doesn't look like he wants to... what is Hades doing up here? He doesn't need to be up here. I'm just trying to get this stupid thing out of my way. There we go. Alright. That's fine, that's fine. Nice. Oh, good play, good play. What? Oh, I thought he teleported over this way. I was like, he's bold. He is not bold. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. Why is Hades fighting Ratatoskir of all people over there? What the hell? This Hades is way too aggressive. That's the Hades' only issue. He's too aggressive right now. He's writing checks his body can't cash right now. Let me take this really quick. Thank you. Gotta clear my wave really quick. Robin's on that. Good, good. Now I'm close enough to level 20 where I think I'm actually not gonna go back quite yet. Oh my goodness, they're fighting for some unholy reason in middle too. What is this? Why are we fighting here? Why? I shouldn't be in here. Yeah, I stayed that ice too long. That was 100% my fault. Now what I am going to do is grab Aussie. Just as an experiment. Alright, now at this point you've probably figured out what I was talking about earlier by not having quite the same level of team fight presence, where I've only really been able to go after one person at a time, target them, and try to eliminate them. Please defend... Excuse me. Please defend the fire giant. You know, he's not got the health for that. I can understand why he wouldn't go for that. No. Punk? I unfortunately, by the way, did not have enough money. Okay, we actually have a weird opportunity here because they didn't go for the fire giant like I was expecting. Like they should have, to be totally honest. Hi, how you doing? Come back here. No, I overstepped my boundaries. I overstepped. I did not think it was going to take me that long to get back up. That was a bad call on my part. I was fine teleporting there. I was fine engaging on Cuchulainn there. Those are both fine. Ratatoskir should have been a warning sign. Nah, let's get out of here. Now, once again, I also have to emphasize that as a solo laner, your individual score isn't really hugely important. The overall important thing here is that you are doing what you need to be doing. That in the previous fight where I died, I was. That last fight, I started doing the right thing, and then I got too aggressive, and I died. You'll also notice that I keep dying in, you know, situations where there's large amounts of enemies involved. The instant, like, 3 or so enemies get involved, I die. That is not a coincidence. That is because I am an auto-attacker. I am actually going to wait on this here. Wait. Please? But it's down. I'm an idiot. I am not going to steal his speed buff from him. I'm going to take out these. Alright. Now we're going to see if we're actually doing anything here with Cupid and Ravon. What's actually going on here? Alright, no, we're gonna disengage. There's 3 people over there. I don't like that. I'm not interested in that. Thank you. Cupid dropping my blue buff. That's nice. Thank you. Now, anyways, I got interrupted before. If you're a solo laner and you're doing poorly, don't ask your jungler to come over and help you. Ask only that your jungler drop your blue buff. Alright, if you are behind in solo lane, the last thing you want is your allies coming in and splitting experience with you. You don't want that. If you are doing badly in the solo lane, ask to just be allowed to farm alone. Farm the jungle, except for the blue buff, which is too important for you to try to farm alone. The enemy will come over and try to steal it from you. That's not going to work, obviously. But the neutral, just the experience camps, if you have an opportunity to grab one of those because the opponent just backed or whatever, your jungler just ganked and the opponent backed as a result, that's great. I'm going to assume you're just going to pop out of here. Alright, no you're not. Alright. Nice. Take this out really quick. I can tank this. I can tank this. We're fine. Perfect. I don't particularly like this these odds here. So we're gonna follow the group here. We're gonna get out of dodge. We're gonna see if we can heal up off of any of these camps. Why are they over there? What is this? What are we doing here? There we go. We were just unnecessarily waiting on the wrong side of the tower for minions. Is that what we were doing? Because that's kind of what it looked like we were doing. Oh, alright. Nice. That somehow worked. Alright. Yeah, we really shouldn't be pushing our luck too much. They're only one down we have. We need to get out of here. We do not have the health to continue this fight. Keep forgetting those drop now. Alright. I want to go back and grab this, though, Death's Temper, for some extra damage. Now, notice as an auto-attacking solo laner, I'm building a little bit more damage than normal. You'll notice that I have 4 hybrid items instead of 2 defense and 2 hybrid. I still have the 2 damage items, but I have 4 hybrid items. Stone Cutting Sword, which provides me with some power and some protections. Berserker's Shield, which does the same thing. Technically, Talisman of Energy is a pure defense item, but it gives me attack speed, so it kind of counts as a hybrid. And Void Shield, which gives me protections and some health and some power. Right? This is because, basically, as an auto-attacker, you have the ability to single out a target and eliminate them before they can eliminate you, in most cases. That is your intention here. You only really need the protections to last long enough to do so. Because even though you have good auto-attacking, you still aren't necessarily going to have the kit to necessarily outdamage everyone. For example, hunters, which, because of the way I've built with the protections, I actually can fight hunters pretty well. Alright. I'm gonna die. Yeah, I took too much damage from my boy there, from Merlin. Now you might be wondering, Professor, why aren't you building a second magic protection item? Why not build Shogun's Kusari, for instance? Well, I could, but you're going to find that once... There's a couple of reasons why. Although, considering Ravon's presence, I still might. Alright, I'm going to build that, but it's not necessarily always going to be the correct choice. I'm switching to this for specifically the reason that Ravon himself also has decent auto-attacking potential. He actually builds up his passive through auto-attacks as well. But also more to the point, once Merlin dies, I don't have a whole lot of need for magic protections. Right? Actually, no. Considering their team composition, I'm going to leave that as Aussie. They just don't have enough magic damage. Once Merlin dies, that's it. And I basically just need access to Merlin, and that's about it. I'm going to just teleport right in here. So we're going to go take their Scorpion. Oh, there's Chiron there. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Alright, perfect. They're fighting over... well, no, they're kind of sparring over there. I might have a second to go and grab this guy really quick for my mana buff. There we go. Alright. That's fine if we can kill them right afterwards. Which it looks like we're going to be able to do. Where did he go? There he is. Oh, you're just dead now. And Sun Wukong just... there he is. He's not worth the time, though. He's not been building support properly. Sun Wukong isn't as great a support as people think he could be. I'm not too worried about it. Alright, target locked on. Go. Nice play, nice play. Yep. Oh, nice play. Nice play. I did not... that was a really good placement of those dragon hits. I gotta admit, that was some fire placement. He reacted really well to that. That was very impressive. I goofed that. I was way too aggressive. I didn't see the Ratatoskr there, or the Sun Wukong. Ironically, I just said that I wasn't worried about the Sun Wukong. He stops me from killing Merlin. Karma. But that's, again, once again, you'll notice, multi-enemy situation, I die. This is the real issue of auto-attacking warriors, or auto-attacking solo laners in general, is even though my individual damage is very high, the instant we get into a team fight, I don't have a lot of ability to sustain my way through that fight. Again, I could build Shogun's Kusari, and under normal circumstances, with a normal team comp, I probably would. But, again, once Merlin dies, all that magic protection means very little. So I have to be very careful with that. Pardon me. So you really don't want to go too... Even though he is primarily the reason I'm dying, I also don't want to try to hyper-specialize around him either. Although he's hard carrying. I might have to. With the amount he's hard carrying, I might... What's his... Oh, he's got enough penetration where that's really not going to matter. Alright. Alright, that's fair enough then. That, with the amount of penetration he has, it does not matter if I build Shokun's Kusari. It's not going to save my life. Just going to clear this wave. They're probably not going to push this. I just need to make sure Merlin dies in the team fights. That's all I need to do. Okay, multiple. Yep, multiple. There they are. Behold. I backed off this time. Intelligently. Okay, here comes Chiron. You really don't want the team fights. As you've been seeing. Can I take out Merlin? Yes. This is it. He's dead. Even if I die, the fact that I just killed Merlin, being there a large amount of their teamfight damage, that is very damaging to their ability to continue the fight. If he takes out Chiron, they're also not going to have, and he almost took out Chiron, they're not going to have the ability to take the tower. No, he wasn't able to do that. Which is fine. Oh, nope, they still didn't, because he doesn't have the health to survive Ravon. Okay. Good, good. Now again, notice that the instant I got Merlin almost completely alone, Sun Wukong arrived too late, he was basically guaranteed dead. He delayed it long enough with Aegis for me to have to commit hard enough to die afterwards, but I still killed him. That was really what that Aegis was about, and it did work. He knew he wasn't going to survive. He just wanted to keep me in that fight long enough for me to just full commit and die. So that did succeed. But that opened the door for my allies to be able to do enough to prevent them from taking the tower. Actually, I can probably solo the... What do you call it there? Oh, you're gonna... No, I'm not gonna let you do that, Nap. I wasn't born yesterday. You are just watching me very aggressively, aren't you? Well, that's because you guys are on it. No, you're not. Alright. There's Merlin again. We take him out. We win. We win the team fight. Just gonna heal off of this. I'm just healing. I'm fine. Oh, that was a waste. Where is Merlin? I don't care about you right now. There's Merlin. Hello. There we go. That wasn't Merlin, but it was good. Hi there. How you doing? Nice. There's Merlin, and he's low. He's dead. Good. This is a win. This is the win right here. Ah, shoot, he was eagle. Never mind, doesn't matter. I should not be tanking this. I don't have the health for this right now. There we go. Now, I also want you to understand that you don't even necessarily... It's not about... It's not so much that you're useless in team fights. You have to just... find the people alone. Look, if you're playing an auto attacker of any variety, whether you're a solo lane, whatever, find the people alone. I killed Ratatoskir. I did so much damage to Sun Wukong. early in that fight because they were by themselves. Sun Wukong came at me by himself, which was a huge mistake. He should have known better. I'm going to be really honest. If he's playing Sun Wukong in a support role, he's either a really long time support, he's got no idea what he's doing, which is possible, or he's a solo laner trying to break into the support role. One of the three. In all but one of those circumstances, he should know not to just go at Erlong Shen like that as an auto attacker. So that's how really I was able to do that much damage to those, is because I was able to catch them just by themselves, even in technically a team fight. I was about to do the same thing to Chiron, but Hades already handled that. Same thing. It all comes down to getting that 1v1. Even with in the individual solo lane, no matter how far behind I seemed to be, no matter how far ahead Cook Lane seemed to be in that laning phase, he could never beat me in a 1v1. And keep in mind, once again I must remind you that Cook Lane actually has the best chance against auto attackers because he doesn't use mana for his abilities, so he's a best case scenario, besides bringing in another auto attacking warrior. Alright? And I can't stress that enough. If Cook Lane had been any other ability-based warrior, I would have curb stomped that lane because they would have been able to put up a really great fight against me until they ran out of mana. At that point, I win. Okay? Now, in this particular circumstance, this is a bit of an unusual circumstance. I didn't build Shogun's Kusari. I almost did for a while, but once again, the enemy team had 4 physical, and once Merlin died, that was it. And you could see in that second to last fight where I killed him in the mid lane, where he used Aegis to force me to stay committed to that kill. Yeah, I didn't need magic protections to kill him. I just needed magic protections to survive him if I was ignoring him, which I wasn't doing. If they had a regular support, if they had a Guardian for a support, I would have built Shogun's Kusari, because Guardians, if you don't have the kinds of magic protections, actually can slap, and they don't usually build any kind of penetration, so Shogun's Kusari would have been really good to counterbalance that particular aspect, and it would have been a very justified purchase in that scenario. But with just Merlin as their only source of magic damage, it was only worth it to build Talisman of Energy. Now, why Talisman of Energy specifically? Movement speed, that's basically all it comes down to. Now, auto attackers are so effective in solo lane not only because they do higher than average damage in a 1v1 scenario, but they have access to Death's Toll, which, as you've probably figured out, for sustaining purposes in the sustain favoring role of solo, is really huge. It's very difficult early game to overcome, even in the mid laning phase, even as Kukulane proved. It's very difficult to overcome an auto attacker with Death's Toll in the solo lane. That is very hard to do, because Death's Toll, not Temper, ignore that temporarily, Death's Toll doesn't care how much damage you're dealing, you're healing the same amount of health and mana. You technically don't need your mana buff as much as a result as well. Not only do auto attackers not rely on abilities to do their damage, they also have the ability through Death's Toll to rejuvenate their mana. Now, once again, I would like to reiterate that I did not build Mannequin Scepter. Why? Mannequin Scepter, Professor, has a physical protection bonus. It does burn damage over time. Yes and yes. The problem is that it also only really gives you huge payoffs when you clear jungle camps. Now, I was in a position to clear jungle camps, but that wasn't as often an occurrence as would justify the use of Mannequin Scepter in that particular scenario, okay? If you're working with... If you're partied up with someone and you're in communication with them, maybe Mannequin Scepter would be really nice. Especially, say, for example, let's pretend you are in a party... Ooh, wow, let me just throw that pen. Let's say you're in a party with a jungler, a jungle main, right? You could grab, as an auto-attacking solo laner, you could grab Mannequin Scepter and clear most of the bordering jungle, your mana buff, your Danger Noodle, your Harpies. Except for the speed buff, you leave that alone for your jungler, and your jungler covers literally just the right hand jungle. And you just gotta bank on the fact that you can outpace the enemy solo laner, right? That's basically what that comes down to. There, that is a viable strategy. Or if you're feeling particularly aggressive, you could do a really interesting strategy where you purchase persistent teleport very early on, and then you use Mannequin Scepter, and you basically go as a secondary jungler, and you're weaving in and out of the solo lane as you need, clearing the jungle just like a jungler, going in, clearing the wave, going back into the jungle, maybe ganking mid, teleporting back to your lane, clearing that wave, things like that. That is a viable strategy I've seen pulled off once or twice. It takes a lot of practice. I'm hoping as part of this series I'll have an opportunity to show you at least the rough idea of what that looks like. It's not my favorite way of playing solo lane, so I'm not great at it. It's just not the way my mind works. I will at least show you fundamentally how it works, because I can at the very least demonstrate the foundation of that strategy, but it's very difficult to pull off, and the early game for that looks gross. Okay, because you have to save up a good 800 gold to acquire persistent teleport first off, and it's key that you get persistent teleport because the gank will give you 10 seconds off that teleport, which is pretty important. If you get an assist in a gank, I mean, it's mid lane, there's a good chance that there's going to be 2 people there. That's 20 seconds off. That's very helpful, etc. And Mannequin Scepter, of course, while pretty useful, isn't quite as good. It obviously doesn't offer you as much sustain. So it's also a bit risky. This is very hard to pull off. The Mannequin Scepter persistent teleport strategy only really works if your opposing solo laner isn't an auto attacker. I could have pulled it off here, for instance, especially since Merlin was rotating. Actually, if I had been using a Mannequin Scepter roving strategy, I guess I would describe it as. I can't remember the official term. Then yeah, I could have cut him off at the pass and eliminated him way early. In retrospect, considering he was the only magic source of damage, I probably should have done that here, except I wanted to demonstrate to you a pretty classic auto-attack focused solo lane. Now, you'll notice I haven't talked about like the goals of a auto-attack solo lane. They don't change. If your support is having a rough time, you build more defensively. If your jungle is having a bit more of a rough time, you build more aggressively. In this particular case, both my support and my jungler were doing leaps and bounds better than their equivalents on the enemy team. I wasn't too worried. So I just built tankier because they had 4 physicals and just basically ran with that. It wasn't an ideal scenario. I'm going to be really honest here. Because I did have the 4 physicals, I would have, again, just to reiterate one more time, I would have built Shogun's Kusari instead of Aussie if they had a Guardian instead of Sun Wukong. Now, that's all well and good, and I think you can really understand and grasp that despite my technically poor performance in the early to mid game, because I was ganked a couple of times and didn't adjust for that. Well, let me rephrase that. I wasn't expecting to be ganked for some reason, even though logically I should have expected that, but that's a personal issue on my part. I just didn't see it for some bizarre reason until it was too late. Back to the point. Even though I was technically, in a numerical sense, doing worse, in actual practice, you could see I was still keeping Cook Lane under tower. I was still out fighting him. I was still outboxing him. In fact, most of my deaths were Merlin, because I wasn't really focusing too much on counter-building him. And as I demonstrated in that second to last fight, that was more of a matter of me picking the wrong time to go after him, me not realizing how many enemies were in the area, me, once again, basically reiterating, hey, look, I'm an auto-attacking warrior, gang up on me and kill me quickly because I can't deal with groups. A lot of my deaths were because I didn't realize there were as many enemies present in a situation as I was as I believed. That's on me for not paying enough attention to my minimap and enemy locations. Totally on me. But it is also demonstrative of the situations that will kill you as an auto-attacking solo laner, in the situations that you really shine in as an auto-attacking solo laner compared to an ability-based solo laner, right? Now, let's talk very quickly about Cuchulain's very odd choices of itemization, because I really want to address this because he made some mistakes. Look, I understand very keenly that Cuchulain has larger than average reach with his auto attacks, and he gets a physical power boost which directly translates into a 1-for-1 increase in damage with his auto attacks when he's enraged. The problem with this is that as nice as his auto attacks sound, at the end of the day he's still an ability based warrior. All of his damage comes, well, not all of his damage, a majority of his damage comes from his abilities. He does not have any form of serious crowd control, except when he's enraged he's got a root and a brief tremble with his ult. And just a majority of his damage is focused in his abilities. Bluestone Pendant itself is fine. Corrupted Bluestone is not where I would have taken this. I would have taken this to the corrupted, I'm sorry, not the corrupted brooch. The Bluestone Brooch would have been the way to go. Get your abilities to do percentage of health damage, and then run protections the rest of the time. I also don't know why Evolved Soul Eater was the move here. Cuchulain does abnormally well with Stone of Gaia, and in all honesty, the fact that he didn't build Stone of Gaia is why I didn't build Toxic Blade. Cuchulain is unusually useful with Stone of Gaia, because even though for most warriors Stone of Gaia heals a good amount, but slowly, because Cuchulain doesn't have mana, all MP5 is converted to HP5, which means that's even more passive healing, on top of the passive boost of healing from the item that would normally be granted. So he actually heals fast enough with Stone of Gaia to actually make it matter a decent amount in a lot of fights, at least early to mid-game fights. Late game fights, that's a different story, in which case you could probably sell that if it wasn't really working out, but from the early to mid game, on Cuchulain, Stone of Gaia actually can heal you so significantly, passively, that it actually makes a much more pronounced difference in your boxing fights in the early to mid game, right? Midgardian Male was a really good choice. There's myself, there's Cupid, there's Ravant. This was a good choice. I have no complaints about this. This was fine. He should have built this before Soul Eater. Like I said, he shouldn't have built Soul Eater at all, but alright. And let me actually really quickly mention this. Soul Eater would have been fine if I had been an ability-based warrior. We would have been evenly matched. I probably would have also been building Soul Eater. We would have been trying to heal off each other. It would have been a really excellent boxing match. But I was Erlong Shen. I auto-attack out the wazoo. Alright? Soul Eater was never going to provide enough healing or stats to allow him to box me. It was never going to happen. Okay? And that was why this was a mistake. If I had, under normal circumstances, if I had been a more standard ability-based warrior, this would have been the right choice. But I wasn't, and he did not compensate for that. Alright, that's basically what that comes down to. This was a great choice. This was also not a great choice. Again, Cuchulain does a ton of ability-based damage, and actually, if you busted out, say, Gladiator's Shield, that's also cooldown, which Cuchulain wants, so he can use his abilities more often, which means he can build Rage faster, which means he can transform more often. Berserker's Shield, on paper, sounds like it would be great for Cuchulain. It isn't. Please don't build this on him. Build Glad Shield. It's just way more effective on Cuchulain. Now, this was a mistake. Not necessarily because of the item itself. It is. Breastplate of Determination or Breastplate of Valor, regardless of which version you chose here, he actually chose the wrong one incidentally, but we're going to get into that in a second. This item is actually really good on Cuchulainn, and he actually should have built this much earlier. Because that cooldown, again, just to reiterate, is something he'd be looking out for. In fact, combine this with Gladiator's Shield, and ignore Witchblade, which wasn't itself a bad move either, but I'll talk about that. He could have gotten 40% cooldowns no problem. That would have been great. The problem here is that he's got no magic protections. None. Diddly squat. He doubles down on this with Witchblade for some unholy reason. He did not build a single item that increases his magic protections. Hades walked all over him. Atlas was probably out-damaging him in a boxing match. Pardon me. Because he just did not build a single magic protection item. What he really should have done. Here's what Cuchulainn should have built. Alright. I'm Cuchulainn. I see my laning opponent is Erlang Shen. I have built Bluestone. And let's say I was optimistic. Pardon me, I apologize. Let's say I was optimistic and I had started Soul Eater. Okay. I now have two choices. I can continue trying to build to Soul Eater, which I already know is a doomed mission. Or I sell that and I try to do something else. Logically, I would sell the Stage 1 Soul Eater, which is about as far as you'd probably get with this. Maybe Stage 2, if you're feeling particularly optimistic. Go with, very specifically, Midgardian Mail. Very specifically. This would have been my first item after Bluestone. This would have been fantastic. Now, this would have been the smarter item to start with right off the top, even if I wasn't sure Erlang Shen was my laning opponent. At the loading screen, as Cuchulainn, I'm seeing, I know I'm going into the solo lane. I would be looking at my opponent's team in the loading screen, and I'm identifying 3 possible solo laners. Erlang Shen, Hades, and Ravon. Now, based on this team comp, there's an extremely high probability that Hades is going to the mid lane. This turned out to be accurate. So now I'm down to Erlang Shen or Ravon. Ravon is an assassin, sure, and is typically used in the jungle, but he plays a really mean solo lane. Erlang Shen is often played in the jungle role, but also plays a really mean solo lane. So, as a Cuchulainn, going to solo lane, and looking at looking at the opposing team comp and seeing Erlang Shen and Ravon, I don't know which one of these two I'm going to fight. It's a 50-50 chance here for me. From my perspective, I don't know which one I'm going to see in solo lane. My move is not to get Soul Eater, alright? Because if I go against Erlang Shen, or if Ravon is the laning opponent and decides to go auto attacks, Soul Eater isn't going to keep me alive long enough. My logical move would be to start working towards something on this tree. Because if my laning opponent is Ravon, and he decides to go abilities, which he did here, I could, instead of going into Midgardian Mail, I could go into, what do you call that? Mystical Mail. Instead, that gives me physical protections, it gives me HP, and it gives me an extra damaging aura on top of my Steam that can damage enemies as well. So it's basically, anytime I'm enraged, or anytime I activate my Steam off, or whatever it's called, I'm now basically using 2 Mystical Mails at the same time. This is a huge advantage. Right? That's pretty big news. If my laning opponent is Erlang Shen, or if my laning opponent is Ravon and he's using auto attacks, Midgardian Mail is where I go. So by starting towards Midgardian Mail and deciding later I don't need it, I just switch into Mystical Mail and get that combination damage output protections. Alright? That would be the move. My third item would be probably Glad Shield. Cooldowns. Gives me extra damage on my abilities, which of course I'm Cuchulainn, I want. little bit of health, a little bit of power. Gladiator's Shield is my third item. Alright, my fourth item is Genji's Guard. 70 magic protections, 10% cooldown. MP5 that's going to be converted into HP5 for me. That's my fourth item, Genji's Guard. Now, at this particular point in time, I would very likely be looking to balance out my protections. Alright? I might build Mantle of Discord as my fifth item. I might build Stone of Gaia to heal me. One of the two. Right? If I have Glad Shield, probably that's going to be Mantle of Discord because that's extra damage on my Glad Shield. Great. Otherwise, probably Stone of Gaia. My last item is going to be my pure damage item besides Bluestone. It's going to be Heartseeker. And then I evolve Bluestone into the Bluestone Brooch, not the Corrupted Bluestone. I'm not looking to auto-attack as Kukulane. Alright, I'm just not looking to do that. I'm looking to deal ability damage. I'm looking for that percentage of health damage out of the Bluestone Brooch. Alright, the weird thing with the Kukulane's build, and the reason why he had a hard time, is because for some reason he was trying to use a combination of abilities and auto-attacks. The individual items he purchased, with the sole exception of Berserker's Shield and the incorrect choice to go Corrupted Bluestone, the rest of these items are good for the situation. I mean, Soul Eater is too weak to be built this early, but it is a strong choice on Kukulane normally. Guardian Mail, great counter to our team composition. Breastplate of Determination should have been the other breastplate, the one that reduces attack speed with its glyph. Yes, this is just the wrong breastplate. The breastplate itself, Breastplate of Valor, that was fine. That was a good choice. You get the cooldowns you want to use your abilities, you get some physical protections, that's great. Witchblade itself isn't bad, but he needed magic protections at this point and skipped out entirely on them. Alright, that's what the problem here was. There are very few characters in this game that can build a hybrid of auto attacks and ability based. Kukulane is not one of these. And even with those hybrid ones, you often have to commit to one or the other. Kukulane was too wishy-washy with his build. He should have just gone hard on the ability damage. Even if he wasn't going to be able to box me, he could have done enough damage to the minions to kill them quickly, get out of dodge before I can kill him. That's what it comes down to. Before I finish off this episode, one last note. Sun Wukong does not have the kind of kit to make him a good support. There are specifically 3 reasons why Sun Wukong makes for terrible support. 1. He has only one form of hard crowd control. That's his 72 transformations. It's either a pop-up with the bull or a stun with the tiger. And the stun with the tiger is very easy to see coming. It's very easy to block. Okay? 2. His ultimate literally pulls him out of the fight, which is the complete opposite of what supports want to be doing. Supports want to be there in the fight all the time. Even if you're not using abilities or distracting the enemy, you're body blocking. You're right there, taking the shots for your ADC, for your mage. You're doing a little bit of damage. By using Sun Wukong's ult to pull yourself out of the fight, you are defeating the purpose of being a support in the first place. Okay? And that's... Yep, there's the ults, there's the low crowd control. And the fact that he does too much damage in the early game, where there's a higher than average risk that as a support Sun Wukong you're going to accidentally steal away your ADC's kills, which you don't want as a support. So that's why Sun Wukong was not working out well. It was more of a character choice for the role than anything else. But yeah, we're just going to leave that at that. Thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.